This is Harvey Mason for YouKnowIGotSoul.com. Check it out.
Hey, Harvey.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for taking the time for this interview. We definitely appreciate it.
Of course.
I'll get started right away. I just want to first talk to you about, early on in your life, you grew up, your father was a musician, so how did that play a role, in your career as you wanted to become a producer?
Well, just growing up around music my whole life and being in the studio as a kid and watching my dad do his job always made me interested in it and was something that I saw him enjoying and saw him make a living at it. So it definitely influenced my career choice and definitely introduced me to the field and how to make a living at it. And it also gave me a passion for it and appreciation for real music. And my dad was part of a generation of musicians that were amazing at what they did and great musicians and great artists. So I was around and exposed to some amazing music and musicians. So I was very fortunate.
And how did you originally link up with Rodney Darkchild Jerkins?
Well, I had finished my college. I played basketball in college, and I had finished playing basketball and was going in to decide what I wanted to do for a career path. And I'd always been writing songs, so I started writing songs and started working on music for artists. And I was making trips out to Los Angeles to play my music for record executives and artists, other producers, anyone who would listen. And at one point, Brandy and her A&R person heard a song that I had written for her record called Truthfully. And Rodney happened to be executive producing the album. So when he heard Truthfully, he loved it. And who's the guy who wrote that? Bring him out to LA. And Rodney and I spoke, and he said, would you be up for working with me on the song and co-production? I said, of course. He was a producer that I respected and really liked his work. So the chance to work with him on that song was a perfect introduction. So we worked together on that song, and from kind of the week we finished that song, he just said, hey, I'm going to start on Whitney Houston's record. You want to come with me? And I said, yep.
Yeah.
And then he kept saying the same thing at the end of every week, and it went for 2 years. We just worked together nonstop for the entire time.
Cool. So was that Brandy song your first major placement as a producer?
My first major placement, yeah, I had some smaller records placed, and I'd been doing some work before then on other artists, but that was my kind of, I guess, a turning point for me, and it introduced me to Rodney and his team, and then it also exposed me to the high-level executives on the record side. They started paying attention to my songwriting, so that was definitely a tipping point for me.
Okay, cool. Give me the history behind the Underdogs and how that group originally formed.
It actually stemmed from the Darkchild camp, because Damon Thomas at that point was working for Babyface and was part of his camp. I was looking to move on, so he went and met with Rodney and myself at Darkchild and was talking to us about possibly coming to work with us. So Damon came and hung out with us at the studio and was working on some music together with us, and we got along well, and it ended up not working out for whatever reason, and Damon did mess with the Darkchild camp completely, so Damon went on his way, and then ultimately when I parted ways with Rodney, Damon and I reconnected, and Damon and I jumped on the phone and said, hey, it was fun working with you back then, why don't we try and do it again? And I didn't really want to join a partnership or any kind of another camp. I'd been with Rodney for 2 years. I kind of wanted to do my own thing, but Damon was up for it, so I was up for it, and we got together and we wrote a song, and the first song we wrote was called I Like Them Girls, and it was a record that a lot of people really liked and a lot of artists wanted, and we ended up cutting it on Tyrese.
Yeah.
And that was how the partnership was formed, because we didn't really have a partnership. We didn't have a name, we didn't have a bank account, but people wanted to pay us for that record, and we're like, well, we got to set up a bank account, and we got to think of a name, and we better do it quick, so that's how it happened.
And over the years, did the Underdogs actually grow and evolve?
Did they grow and evolve, you said?
Did you add members to the Underdogs over the years, or was it just constantly just you two?
Well, the Underdogs was always Damon and myself, and then we signed other writers to the company and other producers, and Eric Dawkins played an important role in the early Underdog days, and little Steve Russell wrote a lot of those songs with us, Tank wrote a lot of the songs with us, so there was definitely other people that were collaborating with us and writing with us, but Damon and I started it and kind of had the master plan of working together with other writers and other creative people and collaborating to make great music.
Cool. Talk about your process when putting a song together, because I've spoken to a bunch of different producers, and a lot of them have different techniques in terms of some like to be there hands-on with the artist, others, do it from a distance. What's your guys' technique been over the years?
Well, we always like to write songs specifically for artists. We don't just sit around writing random songs. We like to know who we're writing for. We like to know kind of exact specifics. So when we get hired to do a job, for example, we just worked with Mary J. Blige. She'll come to the studio, play us a lot of songs. We'll talk to her. We'll see kind of where she's at in her life and her career, see what her frame of mind is, and then we'll write a song specifically for her. Yeah, so we like to kind of get a gauge from the artist where they are, and then the artist doesn't necessarily have to be in the studio the whole time, but it's good to be around them and get their influence and their input and just their frame of mind. And then it's also good to know where they are in their career. You have to study their past work. You have to study the work they're doing at the time you're working with them, so that you don't do something just totally out of left field for them. But on the other hand, you want to be original. You want to do something that somebody else wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. So it's really a fine line between paying attention to what they've done and where they are in their careers, along with trying to push the boundaries for them and make them do something that's fresh.
Yeah, cool. I've got a few songs here that some of your guys' biggest hits that you've worked on. I was hoping to get some background on how the song came together, if you could share that with us. The first one is Omarion's O.
Yeah, O was, we were in the studio with Omarion, and we were working on songs for him specifically, obviously with a title like O. And I think he actually said, the title of my record is going to be O, or something happened where we knew that was a really cool title and something we wanted to work with. And Tank actually had a big hand in that record. He started working on the track and brought it to Damon and I and said, hey, this feels like something. And that's generally how the Underdog camp worked. We'd all go into our rooms and we'd all come up with track ideas. We'd all work on starts and we'd come together to finish them. So that was something that Tank started, and we heard it, loved it, and developed it, and finished writing the lyric. Of course, the track for us comes first, and then we finished writing the lyric, and we played it for Marion. He loved it, and we cut it. So that was a really fun record.
Cool. Next one is Marcus Houston's Naked.
Naked was, I think, the third song we did for Marcus's record. We had done two already, and we really wanted to push him vocally. We didn't think he had been showcasing what he could do singing-wise on some of his past records, so we had the idea of kind of taking him into a falsetto direction and showcasing that part of his voice. So from there, we knew kind of the general idea of the key, and we came up with the track. And I don't remember whose concept it was, but we thought the Naked concept was original and a little bit racy and provocative enough for Marcus to be able to pull it off. Yeah. And then we finished the lyric. Marcus loved it, and I thought delivered a great vocal. For us on that one, that was all about trying to get a great vocal. We were writing a song specifically to showcase what he could do vocally, and I think we pulled it off because I thought that was one of the best songs he's ever, and then one of the best performances he's ever had.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Next one, Justin Timberlake, Still on My Brain.
Still on My Brain was one of the earlier songs that we did as the Underdogs, and Damon and I were in the studio with Justin. He had come to work with us. It was his first solo record. He played us stuff that he had done with Pharrell and Chad and the Neptunes early on for that record, and we were totally floored. We were like, oh my gosh, this is groundbreaking music. Some of those songs that he had on that, Cry Me River, even with Tim and stuff like that, he played us some of those songs and said he needed a musical ballad to round it out, something to again showcase his vocals. So after listening to a lot of the material on Justin's record, Damon and I sat down on the piano and kind of just started fiddling around with different chords, and Justin was there on that particular occasion and started singing, and kind of the three of us just came up with that on the spot, right, based on an acoustic piano, and then we finished off writing it and then produced it. So that one came together quickly with the artist in the room, and he had a lot of input on that.
Oh, okay, cool. Just one more, and that's Tyrese's How You Gonna Act Like That.
How You Gonna Act Like That was a song that, we'd worked with Tyrese on his subsequent albums, and we had a pretty good feel for Tyrese. And for Tyrese, his songs have to have the right attitude. He has to say the right things, and a lot of times he's obviously speaking to girls. So we have a pretty good handle on how to write for Tyrese. So that was just some kind of personal experience some of us were going through. I don't remember exactly who, but came about of a girl mistreating a guy. I'm like, how are you going to act like that? I can't believe that I've done all this for you and we've gotten along like this, and how are you going to treat me like that? And that's how that song came about. It was a concept first, which a lot of times doesn't happen, and then we worked backwards from there. We came up with the track, and Eric Dawkins was really involved in that, and in the writing of that, and then we played it for Tyrese. He loved it, and I thought he delivered that one impeccably.
Cool. In 2009, we noticed you were doing a lot of production on your own. I mean, you mentioned you were with Darkchild, and you moved to another production team with the Underdogs, but what was it like working on your own, doing production on your own?
Yeah, we had kind of done a lot of records together at the Underdogs, and Damon and I decided to go our separate ways and do our own thing. So in 2009, or maybe 2008 even, I started just kind of producing my own music, going back to what I did before, and did some fun records and some fun projects, and even got into some TV or film stuff, and that was always a goal of mine. So I just took that time to develop new opportunities, and did a lot of work for Clive Davis still, and a lot of American Idol stuff, and Jennifer Hudson records and things like that. And I'd been producing records on my own for a long time, so it was not a huge shock to my system to be not working with Damon, but it was a good opportunity for me to just kind of do what I wanted to do, pick projects that I thought were fun for me, and take my time and do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we noticed you guys came back together for Chris Brown's new album. You guys kind of reunited as the Underdogs. So we're wondering, is that going to be a permanent thing? And, how did you guys decide to come back together like that?
Well, yeah, the idea was brought to us by a couple executives in the industry, and one of them was A&R Chris Brown's record, and he thought it would be great for us to do a song together, and I was up for it, and Damon was up for it, and the 3 years had gone by that we hadn't written any songs together, so we came back to write songs for Chris's record. We wrote 2, we recorded 2, and one's on Fame and one's coming out on Fortune, so it was perfect timing, and the songs we wrote, I guess, were somewhat on track to what he wanted and what the executive was expecting. So the experiment worked out. We've been writing songs continually since then, and you never know if it's permanent or if it's not permanent, but we're definitely enjoying writing songs together. And Eric Dawkins has been back in the mix. Little Steve has been working with us along with some other new young guys. So we've got a really great energy going with what we're doing, and we definitely plan on continuing it and playing it out and seeing where it takes us. Cool.
You mentioned you guys are, working together and been writing together. So who are some artists you're currently working with? What do you got coming up in the future?
We've been working really hard on this Mary J. Blige record. We've done quite a few songs for that. In addition, we've done a song for a soundtrack for a film called The Help, which is really a great song, a really special song. We wrote that with Mary J. as well. We've been working on a couple new artists on Jive. Jacob Lattimore, Young Kid. We've been working on Jason Derulo's new record. Who else exciting I can think of? Nicole Scherzinger's record. Did a soundtrack song with Jennifer Hudson. I'm trying to think, I'm leaving so many people out. I can't remember all of them, but those are a few of the ones we've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Cool. Just one last question.
The other thing we've been doing that's kind of cool is we've been working with Pia Toscana on her record. She's one of the gals from Idol that was let go, I think, prematurely, but she's got a great voice, and very excited about her record and what she's got coming up. So that's fun. We've also been working with, funny enough, the Braxtons, which is Tony and Tamar, and I did some songs for their television show, and then supposedly they're going to be working on some solo records and stuff, so that'll be fun. And just trying to pick the right projects that are good music and good people.
Cool.